It is the second live interview of today. I'm so excited to welcome my friend Vanessa Herrera, and she is a hypnotherapist. I know when I was giving birth to my first child, I went for hypnosis to try to calm myself down because I had heard that it makes things a lot easier when you're less stressed, especially with birth. And so I thought, Vanessa of family court and trauma and narcissistic abuse and all of that. So, hey, Vanessa, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I was just talking about how I used hypnosis for the birth of my first son. I wanted natural childbirth, and it actually worked, even though it was a lot more painful because I thought it would be like pleasant. It was, it hurt, but I did it. But oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Um,
well, hypnosis cannot take away the pain, but it can help you control
y-
it better. So,
yeah. Yes. Well, whatever the case was, it worked. And so when you and I met, I thought you would be the perfect person to come on and talk about how hypnosis can help our community deal with the ongoing stress and trauma of going through the legal system and thereafter with a very high conflict ex. So first of all, do you think it's possible for hypnosis, even if you're not like under, in the midst of it, to help like on our own? Is this something that we can learn techniques, or do we need to be actively hypnotized?
so we are constantly actively hypnotized. You have to take into consideration that your abuser has used, by putting you in a very stressful situation, has unknowingly used hypnosis to put their suggestions straight into your mind. Because what happens with hypnosis is your critical mind goes to sleep, right? So you don't have logic, reasoning, willpower, decision making, analysis, which is what lives in your conscious mind. And when you are in these very stressful situations, being told all these nasty things, you automatically, your critical mind, you go into survival mode, right? You go into fight flight, and hypnosis is happening in fight flight because all the information that is coming to you, you take it as truth. And so, definitely learning hypnosis. So you first know when you're in hypnosis, right? Um, and second of all, to get yourself out of hypnosis. And third of all, to use hypnosis to program your own mind to react in the ways that you choose, not in the ways they choose.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Like, you're talking about something that comes up all the time where we say the abuser's voice is still in your head and we got to get it out of there. And I never thought of it as being hypnotized.
Yes, I mean, it's not like they're hypnotizing you or they have techniques,
Right.
but when you're in a very stressful situation, your critical mind goes to sleep, and that is hypnosis. That is what I do with my clients in a calm manner, right? In order to put in the suggestions that are their own. So the difference is here, by abuse with verbal language, with this, with that, by triggering different trauma responses, right? It is hypnosis. It is because hypnosis is taking in the suggestions that are coming in. So if you learn how to hypnotize yourself and how to relax your body and your mind and put in the suggestions that you choose, right? And putting in the defenses that you need, because it's not just the suggestions that you need and you want. It's also the defenses that when this voice comes in and says this, right? What we do is we do we, like my choice is going to be to react calmly, to deflect the aggression, or to smile and nod, which pisses them off. So, right?
Yeah.
So instead of your trigger response to be like defensiveness or getting into and close yourself off, right? What you choose is resourceful responses, not reactions, but responses to the abuser, and that automatically throws them off their game. So then you switch it over,
Yeah.
right? Then you are the one putting the suggestions.
Yeah. Yes.
You are not going to be controlled, that you are not going to be triggered, that you are going to stay calm and you're going to remain in your center and your truth, which we know it's the truth.
Yeah. And I see a comment from a friend of ours who happens to be an author and a therapist, Chelsea Burkle, says, yes, it does feel like the narc is hacking your mind.
Yes.
Great line, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it is true. It is true because suddenly your internal voices become theirs because that's what they've been feeding you while your critical mind was not alert to
Yeah.
defend you.
So, Vanessa, before we go on, how about you introduce yourself and say a
Sure.
little bit about what you do?
Sure. My name is Vanessa Herrera. I am a hypnotherapist and I help people tap into their own resources to live the life they want to live under their own terms and to find their center, their inner guide, and their inner peace in order to function better in the world.
Great. Okay, so now let's get into some myths about hypnosis because
Yes.
some people, you're from the other coast of the country from us, and there's a lot more woo-woo people about it, and people tend to be like, hypnosis, like, how is that going to help me? I'm going into court, things are crazy. What do people think about hypnosis that is not true, do you
Well,
think?
if you've seen Get Out
Yes,
or
I love
Hypnotized,
that movie.
great
That's one of my
movie,
all-time
but
favorites.
it's not going to happen. It's something that will definitely not happen. Hypnosis is it's an altered state of mind. There's nothing woo woo about it. It's about calming the mind. Well, in this setting, right? Because hypnosis happens all day, every day. People go in and out of hypnosis. As I said,
Really?
hypnosis, yes, all day. When you're driving, right, and suddenly you go in autopilot, and you're going to a store before picking up your kids, let's say, right? And you completely go in autopilot, and suddenly you find yourself at your kid's school, and you're like, I was going to go to the store. What happened? That's
Hmm.
driving hypnosis. When you go into a movie and you suspend belief, right, and you feel like the character, you know it's a production, you know it's not real. Yet you kind of make it your own and you allow yourself to feel it. That's hypnosis. In the morning, when you're waking up and you're kind of groggy and you're kind of walking towards your tea or your coffee, and your mind is kind of still, that's hypnosis. When you're about to go to sleep, that's hypnosis. So hypnosis, it's just a light, sometimes it's a deeper, altered state of mind, which allows it's for neuroplasticity to be more active. It doesn't mean that increases neuroplasticity, no, but it's simply more active. So you take away the blockages of your limiting beliefs, of your thoughts, of your ideas, and allow your subconscious mind to be programmed. Because what we create knowns in the mind, because the known, what we want is something that we know. And sometimes calm and peace is something that we don't know. Because
Yeah.
it's been, and in this community even more, because you're constantly walking on eggshells, constantly tense. So you don't know, your body and your mind have forgotten what calm and peace mean,
Hmm.
right? So what we do in hypnosis is remind your mind, remind your body what calm and peace mean, and suddenly you can begin to operate from that place. Hypnosis, it's just a slight altered state of mind that puts away the critical mind, and in therapeutic settings, it's about putting in the suggestions that you want in order to function and go throughout your life in the ways you choose.
Okay.
Right. So
Are there, go ahead, Vanessa.
no, I was going to say, some people say it's mind control, but I
Hmm.
say it's giving you back the control because we are constantly controlled by several things from advertising
Hmm.
to people's judgments, society rules, court, right? They tell you, and automatically it alters your state. Even doctors, right? They don't know what's going on, and suddenly they tell you because they're humans. They tell you, oh well, this might be a very terrible illness. So that suggestion goes automatically in your mind, right? Instead of being critical because there's tension, there's stress, there's fear. So it goes automatically and then it begins to activate all the anxiety and all the nervousness. And you lose control on those thoughts and those processes of anxiety instead of regaining control and saying, wait a second, that might be, right? That doesn't mean it is.
Yeah.
So there is that controlling your mind and your emotions in a positive way.
Yeah. Are there any things that people are afraid of when they think about hypnosis that you see?
Yeah. So the mind control, which I can't control anybody's mind. I cannot make anybody do anything they don't want to do.
Mhm.
And this comes from stage hypnosis. With
Yeah.
stage hypnosis, it's a math, right? Out of 100 people, 20 are going to be more suggestible to me. Out of those 20 people, 10 people are going to want to go on stage and do all these things, right?
Mhm.
It's not that they're acting on it. It's just that they lose the resistance through hypnosis and they allow themselves to do so. So it's not like at any moment, anybody that's on stage can be like, no, I'm done, right? But they allow themselves to go into that kind of hypnosis and show. Another thing is like, I can get stuck in hypnosis. No, you can fall asleep and have
Mhm.
a wonderful nap,
Mhm.
but you can't get stuck in hypnosis.
Mhm.
Another thing, like, am I going to reveal my darkest secrets? Well, no, because you have your eyes closed. Everything happens in your mind, and there's if you don't want to say something, you don't say it, right? And those are the main fears. Like, how's it going to feel? It's going to feel good.
Mhm. So it's like a relaxing feeling. I remember always feeling very relaxed.
Yes, yes, it's very relaxing. It's very calming because you bring all your system to your parasympathetic system, right? And everything just goes into a calm, quiet inner life, right? Sometimes, yes, there's moments, there sometimes memories that come and things that are not very pleasant, right? But we work them through. And most of the time after sessions, clients go like, I don't want to stop.
It
Why
sounds,
are we ending?
yeah, I mean, is it similar to meditation?
It's very similar to meditation. The state is kind of the same. And if you do yoga nidra, it's very similar to yoga nidra.
Mhm.
The difference is that in meditation, normally the goal is to clear the mind,
Mhm.
right? And to allow thoughts to happen. In hypnosis, we have a purpose and we're going for a reason. And there's a lot of imagery and a lot of imagination work and a lot of symbolism and metaphors in order for your mind to create these new neural pathways to think in different ways and gain different perspectives. So yeah, it
You know,
has
when
it.
you,
I call it meditation with an action, active
Mhm.
meditation. Yeah.
Okay. So when you talked about people who are more suggestible, I don't know if this is true and I don't know if you know, but I read something years ago that said that people who are really creative and imaginative are more susceptible to successful hypnosis. Do you know if there's any
Um,
bearing in that?
Not really.
Okay.
So there is definitely people who are more creative are going to have more fun. They're going to be a little bit more open to do these things. Maybe that's
Mhm.
why that happens. But resistance can happen with somebody that's very intellectual and somebody that is more creative. Um, Definitely somebody who's more intellectual is going to try to analyze everything and why am I doing this and why am I doing that. But we have ways to overcome that and still get them into hypnosis. So it's more like the the hypnotist or the therapist has to know how to get that person in hypnosis. And we do a test before to know what kind of hypnosis we're going to need. If we're going to need a more direct approach, if we're going to need more like a rounded approach, like more like a metaphor, and that also differentiates people who in hypnosis works immediately
Mhm.
and others who take a little bit of time in order for all the suggestions to go through their mind and have that logic, right, that it's required. But everybody's as hypnotizable. Just
I
the
was going to
technique that
say,
you use for it.
yeah, you answered my question. I was going to say, are there people that are will not work, hypnosis, it wouldn't be a good client, like it just wouldn't work for someone like that?
Well, if somebody comes to a hypnosis session, it's going to work because they're already willing to do so.
Hmm.
But if somebody is unwilling and they're coming just to, like, I just had um, a person who came just to experience hypnosis. It was not a very skeptical person, right? And at the end, it was just one session. So there's not a lot of change that you see. But at the
Hmm.
end, they said, oh,
Wow.
very good. So even with the skepticism, right, the relaxation, it still works, right? It's still like sometimes for that, for people who are like more in the analytical side, we
Hmm.
might need a little bit more work, a little bit of deeper work, maybe more sessions in order to for that analytical side of the brain to
Hmm.
fully get it. For the idea that it's theirs to be understood that it's not mine, but it's theirs. I mean,
Hmm.
if somebody's coming to hypnosis, they're already open for it. So it usually works. I cannot hypnotize
Good.
somebody. I need permission to hypnotize somebody.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it can't. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really fun, actually. I mean, it's been a while for me, but I always loved it. So, can you talk about some practical, actionable tips for people in
Yes.
our community? Let's say the night before they're going for a court date and they know they're encountering their ex and they know how uncomfortable the setting is and they are just terrified. Like, what would you suggest for someone like that?
So there are several things. One, I'm gonna give you a recording so you can give it to your clients. This is from a client of mine that was getting ready for court, and what we were doing was creating a shield of light and a sword of light. And then we did a triple bind, whenever they were asked questions. This is specific to the person because each person requires different resources,
Hmm.
right? And each person knows exactly where when they're triggered and how they're triggered. And we do like a triple bind. So it's like, in this case, was clarity of mind,
Hmm.
articulation, not ramble upon things, but say things
Hmm.
clearly and articulate in an articulate way, and staying calm, right? So whenever this attack comes, one of these three things are going to happen.
Hmm.
So one is visualizing themselves in a sphere of light, white, bright light, that it's a protection. It can be a sphere of light. It can be a whole, I just said the word and I just blanked out on it, a whole armor, right?
Hmm.
It can be of light, it can be of metal, it can be it doesn't matter what it is. The idea is that it represents to you safety.
Hmm.
So, in order to create that, focusing on your breathing when things are happening to you instead of automatically responding, right? Just make the exhale longer and
Hmm.
allow all the emotions and all the feelings that are happening to happen while you're breathing. Nobody's asking you to respond right away, right? You
Except
take
the
your
other
time,
person.
except the other person. Exactly. And it's okay. They can say whatever they want, right? But if you focus on your breathing, they can keep on saying these things and you might have all these revolting emotions, but you're aware of these emotions in the present moment and you're controlling them with your breathing.
Hmm.
But that's more like in the moment. And also before, I would definitely suggest to have at least 5 minutes of this visualization every day, because it's not like, oh, it's going to be tomorrow, so I prep today for tomorrow,
Hmm.
right? I prep every day. It's like a musician practices every day for the time of the show. It's not just the night before that they're like, oh, and how do I play this chord, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
It's
no,
something
no
that you need.
cramming.
Exactly. It's something that you need to practice every day. And before, I would say, before going to bed, write down exactly how they want to feel, how they
Mm.
want to act, how they want to respond, and write it down. And then at the end, say, and right now I'm going to sleep deeply and restfully for this amount of hours. And I'm going to wake up at this time feeling rested, confident, and all the resources you need. You write that 3 times, and in the morning, right, you reread it. Why? Because the 30 minutes before you're going to bed, you're in hypnosis, right? It's when
Mhm.
your body starts relaxing and your mind starts opening up. Two, it's the information you put into your mind, the last piece of information that you put into your mind before going to bed. So what is happening throughout your REM sleep, you're processing all these things.
Mm.
Three, you're giving direct um, orders or direct suggestions to your mind on where to go. And you can do this several nights before heading towards, and those things can change a little bit. And another thing is breathing. This is not mine. This is Richard Nongard's, and he said it's a 4-6-8. So you inhale in. So first of all, you find 2 to 3 resourceful states that you need. Right. I am going to be assertive and in control, or I am going to feel empowered and I don't know, and clear-minded. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you write that statement. You inhale in 4, exhale in 6, and you say, I am assertive and empowered. And you do that 8 times. That's where the 8 comes. So inhale in 4, exhale in 6, and repeat your statement 8 times.
Okay. Okay. So it's almost like an affirmation or
It's an it's in between an affirmation. It's changing your state, your mental, physical state into that you need to be resourceful. It's bringing oxygen and breathing, right? And it's not allowing your mind to go anywhere but this because you're counting. And when you're doing math, your brain cannot do anything else.
mm-hmm.
So you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 statement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 statement. So it's kind of like a little mini self hypnosis.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so helpful. There was a question that came in that I imagine is very similar to what you had said about a settlement conference. When someone's in the middle of a settlement conference and they're dealing with a mediator and attorneys, and it's not just the preparation, but in the middle of the chaos, would there be any different suggestions or the same kinds of things with
I
the
would say
breathing?
same thing. Focus on your breathing. Once you focus on your breathing, right, all these things can be happening, but what happens is you stay in your center. You
Mm-hmm.
stay in your power, right? And you stay present. So it kind of everything around you slows down, right?
Yeah.
Everything around you slows down, and suddenly you can respond to these things, right? It was Viktor Frankl in Men's Search for Meaning who says that the true freedom is in that space
Mm-hmm.
between stimuli and response, where you
Yeah.
choose your response, right? That's your true freedom. So all these things are going to happen. You have no control over these other things, but you have control over yourself. So if you breathe, right, there's going to be a moment where all these things are going to slow down, right? And people can be talking and you're still listening to all these things that are happening, but you're breathing. And by breathing, you're controlling your emotions, you're controlling your state, you're staying calm, and then you can tackle, say, okay, give me 1 minute. I need another minute for that response, right? Or everybody's talking amongst each other and I cannot respond to that, right? And set up a boundary or say, hold on a second, I'm going first for this, then for this, and then for that. So it keeps you in your actual conscious mind where reasoning, logic, decision making, analysis happen. So you are calm enough to see with clarity where your attention needs to go first and where then and what you're choosing to respond, right? Because they know exactly how to trigger you. They've been triggering you for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the system, it's a system that doesn't care about your humanity. And it doesn't care about your mental and physical state. It just cares about the things that have to be done, right? So it's your job to keep yourself centered. And the way to do that is through breathing. So they can say these things, they can all these things can be happening as long as you're focusing on your breathing, all these things begin to slow down. And by slowing down, you can see them clearly and you can choose where to go. You can even start writing them down and making your notes and where you're going to go.
Yeah, one of our goals with our clients, especially when they're in a court setting, is to have them as calm as possible. Never by saying calm down because that's inflammatory, but we say having you focused and organized is what calms you down because you know what to expect. And I love how what you're describing helps them get really calm. That's the number one thing because when you're calm, your brain can access things. When you're emotional, you forget things. And that's why often opposing counsel will use the strategy of bullying you in court or before court because it gets you so upset that you can't think straight. And then it basically is the self-fulfilling prophecy where they say, oh, see, she or he's an unfit parent. They can't even answer me. they did that on
Exactly.
purpose.
Exactly. They're triggering.
Right.
It's all about keeping you out of your executive function. And if you stay in your breathing, right, and you begin to recognize as well your own emotions and your triggers and when they're triggered, right? If you every day do 2 minutes of staring at the wall without anything, just staring at the wall, and pay attention to the things that are happening inside, all the impulses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do nothing about it. It's a great exercise for when you're in court,
I
right?
love that. Oh my God.
So
That's
all
so
these,
simple, but amazing.
it is because suddenly all these impulses of saying like you're wrong, right? Or all these impulses of responding, they begin to calm down and you recognize them in you. That doesn't mean that you have to act upon them, right?
Mhm.
You recognize them, you maybe write them down quietly, you might have like a star for one thing, a little heart for another, a square for another, right? But you recognize, you acknowledge, and then you choose your response,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
It, mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're asking you to react.
I was thinking about, I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago with someone named Brooke Olson, and he was talking about, he runs something called the High Conflict Diversion Program, among other things, and he's an author, but he was saying that a lot of times we're like, you got to get up and fight and do something. And he's saying sometimes it's the opposite. You want to do nothing. Do nothing. Like there's so much power in doing nothing. And so the exercise you described of sitting and looking at a wall for 2 minutes, that's hard.
So
But
hard.
it's training you. It's training you to do nothing, to
Yes.
pause, which is so important in these moments, is to learn to restrain yourself and do nothing
Yes.
instead of the knee-jerk response.
A lot of times by doing nothing, right? You do what they want to do to you because their attacks are not working,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not getting the reaction that they want, so they're going to become reactory.
Right.
And as my mom always said, my mom said, las cosas caen por su propio peso, which is like things fall on their own weight. I don't know what the
Yeah.
translation is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
But everything falls on their own weight. So a lot of times when all these things happen, right, and you just, the one that I love is like just smile and nod,
I know.
right? So
Yes.
they're going to begin to fester and they're going to begin like, why is this not working? Why is this happening, right?
Because
And
you change
they're
the
going to,
power dynamic around.
exactly, and they are going to become, they're going to start digging their own grave, right? And the judge can see it, lawyers can see it, everybody can see it, right? And you're like, I am staying calm.
Mm-hmm.
All these things, you know, that's not true, right? You know, that's not true. The facts are these,
Right.
right?
And
And
being
suddenly,
confident enough to know that even though those false accusations are flying, you just sit there and do
yes,
nothing, and the judge will look at you and be like, wow, this is
yeah,
someone who's mature. This is someone with good judgment. This is someone who doesn't fly off the handle. And it's a contrast between the other side.
absolutely. Absolutely. And taking your time, as you say, pausing, right? That pausing and focusing on your breathing and recognizing your own reactions, right? And keeping them at bay by saying, I recognize you. I feel that tightness in the stomach, but I'm going to breathe and I'm going to release it. And why are you taking so long to answer? Because I am choosing my answer.
Mm-hmm. And that's so powerful.
It is very powerful. And sometimes even lowering the volume, right? They're like, and just lowering the volume and staying this calm, right?
Yeah.
It drives people crazy.
Yeah. It's great. So we've been talking about what to do in these moments, but what about in the bigger picture where it's not just like a singular episode, like, oh, I have to go to court, but in general, I am completely stressed out from this situation, and there's things that have happened in the past with abuse and trauma. How can hypnosis help with those bigger things? Not just getting me through the next few weeks, but like, can it help with past
Yes.
stuff?
So I also do EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the tapping, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's meridians, the same way as acupuncture works with meridians all over the body for different organs, that you have the emotional meridians. So I do a lot of EFT to release all that emotional charge, right? Hypnosis also works by retraining you of the emotions and the feelings and the states you want to be in, because you have been now conditioned to be under stress all the time, right? And so you're conditioned to do that. So you're relearning to tackle all these things from a new place, right? Which it's not so new, it's relearning it, because at some point you had it, right? At some point you had it, and maybe even at the beginning of the relationship, right? Because everything is so flowery and it's just like to drag you in slightly, slowly, right? So so all those moments, right? You begin to remember them, and you remember to regain control and power over yourself. You gain perspective. So when you go into hypnosis, hypnosis by nature is disassociated. So when you tell a friend, when a friend comes to you for advice, right? It's easier for you to see the situation as a whole and give good advice because they're your friend, because you're not attached to it. You're not associated fully with it like we are on ourselves. But with hypnosis, you gain perspective, right? And you learn compassion towards yourself, empathy towards yourself, forgiveness towards yourself, and even sometimes necessarily towards our abuser, which doesn't mean that you let it go. Like you don't take away you take away the pain, not the actions, right? You take away the pain that caused you in order so you don't carrying around, because that is what happens. We have these tensions and these emotions and we don't let go. But once you let them go,
there's a lightness.
There's a lightness, and it opens up space for beautiful things that you want in your life, right? I remember watching this TikTok video of this one. Is like you have this very dirty glass of water, and they're trying to take out the dirtiness out of the water, right? But you can't take it all out. You have to pour in clear water in order for everything else to flush, and that's what you do with hypnosis.
Yeah, love it. So Vanessa, how can people find you?
They can call me. They can send me a text message, 424-245-9545. I think. I don't know my phone number. This one is very easy. Hypnosiswithvanessa.com is my website. Hypnosis with Vanessa, it's my Instagram handle, even though I am not very active in social media because it's personal beliefs, but it's important, and I'm here and I'm still present and I still check my social media. And and yeah, just send me an email, a text message, a phone call, and the first consultation is always free. And it's about 20 minutes. I always say 20 minutes. I always end up 30, 40 minutes on the phone. That's just what happens. But so we chat and then we take it from there, because a lot of times, well, not always, but sometimes we might need different venues or different ways to do it. Sometimes I can just give some tools like what we did today to help people manage, and yeah, we chat and we see where we're at.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Vanessa, for
Thank
sharing
you.
the stuff. I learned some stuff. This is fascinating.
Good, thank you. I'm glad.
All right.
Makes me happy.
Yes. Okay, we'll be in touch soon. Okay.
Yes.
Bye.